and welcome. This video is going to be what sold for me on the various reselling platforms that I sell on for the last few days of November. So that will be November 22nd until November 30th. And I do hope you all are ready for me speed running through these. I know Miss Moxie is, because I have a lot to get through and I'm going to try to make this not a 25-minute video. So please forgive me if I go a little fast. I'm just trying to get through it. I was very busy the last week of November, so, and more than just the holidays. So we're gonna start as normal from my lowest selling platform and work our way to eBay, because eBay is where I've been focusing this year. Hello, if you are new here, my name's Heron Bob. I am a part-time reseller on most everywhere that you can sell stuff on, and you can just call me Bob. But we're gonna go with Facebook Marketplace first, because I actually made a sale there. I sold one teacup and saucer Fiesta ware. It's pale yellow, which was discontinued in the early aughts. And I sold it for $6. I got a big bulk purchase of a bunch of different pieces of this color for Fiesta ware at a Goodwill. So this technically cost me, if you broke it down per piece, $1.50. So at $6, the buyer actually didn't pay for shipping. Facebook paid for shipping because it was the holiday weekend. And I made like $4, and I have most of the rest of it to sell. So if this stuff doesn't move by the end of the year, I'm going to break it down into lots instead of selling the pieces individually. And now we're going to move over to Etsy, where I'm going to share a couple things with you. So if you are new here, I sell these recipe mugs all the time. I pick them up whenever I see them, as long as they're not chipped or cracked. And I sell both the vintage originals and the vintage reproductions. So I sold, I believe, one mug for $19.31. So that includes both shipping and also tax. And I got really good feedback from this person, so I'm really happy that this moved on. And I normally pay $1 or less for these mugs, so they're great sellers for me. I also put way too much information. I know way too much about them, so I think that's why that I consistently move them in my Etsy store. And then this piece, I'm gonna share with you the little try-on piece, and then I'm gonna share with you how much it sold for. But I picked up this beautiful vintage Ship and Shore, that's the name of the company, disco shirt from the 70s. So if you want to know how to put something in as a disco shirt, it either needs to be shiny and sequins from the 70s, or it needs to be see-through from the 70s, and this was very see-through. It also needs to have those long collar lapels as well, so the long pointed ones. So I could mark this as a disco shirt. And it sold for a total of $30.84, so that includes this $25 for the shirt and then the shipping and tax as well. So I'm really happy that more of those vintage pieces are moving. I paid between $3 and $4 for each one of those shirts at that disco closet that I got to shop, and I still haven't listed everything yet. So I'm happy that things are moving. I'd be happier if everything was listed, but I need to focus more on listing in order to make that happen. Then we are going to go over to Poshmark, which I'm scoot over here for that. And I actually sold this on Thanksgiving Day. I was sitting at the dinner table with my family, and I was like, I haven't shared my closet this week. I have time, because I was waiting for more food to come out. And so I decided to do the bulk sharing on my closet, and this sale came through, which I was like, really? Of all the times for this to sell, because I have had this jacket listed for 2 years. Thanksgiving Day is the day it's gonna sell for full price. So it sold for $50 on Poshmark. It's this Michael Kors military style jacket. It was a wool blend jacket. I have delisted and relisted this twice, taking new pictures each time. Like every time I upgraded my photographing setup, I relisted this, because I thought when I paid $7 for it 2 years ago that this would be a fast sale. I did not realize that even Michael Kors, not just Michael Kors, but Michael Kors does not move this fast. But it's finally gone. I did make a decent profit from it, but if you factor in the amount of time I took to delist, relist, and take pictures, and it just wasn't worth it. So will I pick up this jacket again? If it's green, probably. But if it's not green, probably not. And the only reason I say if it's green, probably, is because you all know I have a weakness for green things. So I'm glad it's moved on to a new home. I'm glad I made a really nice profit from it. It sold on Poshmark of all places, which is wonderful because it was like a 4-pound jacket. So perfect place to sell it. And I am glad that I do have some things still listed on Poshmark, and I will definitely in 2022 be moving more items over there in the hopes of better sales. So now we're finally into eBay territory. I'm really just doing this so that way my butt doesn't go to sleep. So again, I hope you guys have a snack because we're gonna be stuck in for a while. Here's Moxie's butt. Because you know, y'all missed Moxie last video, so she's here. I promise she's here. She's just in her little chair. Since I have a chair now and she has a chair, it also makes her so she screams a little bit less. Speaking of delisting and relisting, I have sold this pair of Reebok CrossFit shorts 3 times. The 3rd time was the charm. It sold for $14.50 and the buyer paid for shipping. The first time it sold, the buyer never paid. The second time it sold, they paid and then they returned it because they said it didn't fit, which is fine. And then so I relisted it again and it sold pretty much a week within relisting it after I got it back from the return. So I'm pretty happy it's gone. And I paid like $4 for this. So, it's all right. Speaking of paying $4 for something, I bought these ornaments for $1 a piece. I sent a 15% off offer and someone took it, paid $12.64 and then paid $5 for shipping. I wanted to make sure I got all of the Christmas ornaments listed before Christmas, and they're all now listed, but I still have 2 lots of the mercury glass ornaments for sale, and I still have all of those Colonial Williamsburg Foundation ornaments for sale as well. So they're all listed, and that's the important thing. This next item I actually got in a men's thread up box. This is a Retrofit brand hoodie. It's just a big knit sweater that's also a hoodie. And I just listed it in the hopes that it would sell. I would not pick up this brand for resale. The comps aren't that great, but I'm very grateful that this sold for such a good price. It sold for my full asking price of $17.87, and the buyer paid padded flat rate to ship it to them. So would I pick it up? No. Am I really happy I got it in the men's thread up box and it sold? Absolutely. So the men's thread up boxes and the t-shirt thread up boxes are the ones where I've consistently made my money back and made good money back. But those are the only boxes where I've had that kind of success. I would pick up a DIY designer box again because I have made good money off of it, but I was only able to sell 2 items out of the 7 because 1 didn't make it to me. 1 ended up damaged. Well, I'm sorry, 2 ended up too damaged to sell. And then 2 of them I kept, and then the 2 I sold. So there's that. This next item is actually from a recent pickup. Well, it's not a recent pickup. It's a recent video where I was like, hey, look, I found this bag of stuff that I forgot about. Here's this haul. It's a vintage Italian wool, merino wool cap. This is Skully Cap. So whoever said to put Skully in the title, thank you very much, because both of out of the 4 hats that all fit that description, the 2 that I've already sold all have Skully in the title, so I'm going to go through and change the other 2 so they also have Skully Cap in them as well. This is also sold twice. The first time the buyer didn't pay for it, and then I got a message after it sold the second time from that same buyer, from the previous buyer that didn't pay for it, said, I'm sorry, I never checked my email. Cool. I still sold it, so whatever. But it sold for $20 and the buyer paid for shipping, and that's off to now hopefully a forever home. I then sold 4 of these David Baldacci books. Buyer paid like $7.48, as you can see here, because I can read, for the 4 books, and then paid an additional $15.28 for shipping. They're heavy. Like, hardcover books are heavy. Each of these books weigh about 2 pounds a piece, so yeah. But I'm happy that they're gone. I've already gotten rid of another box of books, which you'll see here that I've sold some more in this set, so really happy that these are finding new homes and that I've made out on that deal still. I then sold this J. Jill Women's XL linen piece. I'm still selling linen despite the fact that we are in the winter months now. And it sold for $14 and the buyer paid for shipping. I paid less than $1 for this at the Smithfield estate sale. So very happy to see this piece go. Speaking of less than $1, this pair of Fishman Timberland sandals were brand new in the box. I actually picked these up at the Air Force Retirees estate sale that was like the very beginning of 2021. Paid less than $1 for it, and it sold for my full asking price of $29.87. My guess is this is going to be somebody's Christmas gift. So, and the buyer paid for shipping as well. Very happy about that sale. Very good profit considering I paid less than $1 for it. These Bionic Sandals. I paid $5 for these recently. I let them go for $12.50 because I just want them gone. I have doubled my money. And the buyer paid for shipping. So I doubled my money within 2 days. I'm perfectly happy with that, especially since it is not sandal season right now, and just happy they're gone off to a new home. This is something I will never buy again. Well, shouldn't say never. You guys know how much I have a weakness for vintage glass and ceramics. But I bought this, I paid less than $1 for it. It's a vintage Coors beer glass. It's a 6-ounce glass, it's a little small baby. And buyer paid my full price of $4.87 and they paid for shipping. It went first class. This went right at that 15-ounce mark, so very happy about that. And it went in at 8x6x4. So would I pick this up again? Probably not. Not a single. If I got a pair, maybe, but not a single again, I don't think. This is one of the few times I answered a question. So you know how you do. You're a reseller, right? You get messages on eBay or Poshmark or whatever. They're asking you for like measurements or what's the fabric content or blah, 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 blah. This is one of the few times I've taken the time to answer the question because this is also a 2-year-old listing, and 2 years ago I didn't realize that I should probably take a picture of the material content tag so I don't have to answer that question. And so the person was like, hey, is this 100% cotton? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if this one had it. So that must have been the reason why I didn't have it in there, is because I had to hunt for this one. You know how normally material tag is down here at the bottom? It was not in this. It wasn't in the back tag. There wasn't a material tag here on the side. It was like in the arm seam all the way over here. So I found it and I sent a message, you know, take it with a picture saying this is the material content. Let me know if you have any other questions. And they bought it. It wasn't 100% cotton. It was like an 80% cotton polyester rayon blend. And they bought it pretty much within like a couple hours of me answering the questions. So I was like, okay, well, sometimes it is worth actually answering those questions. Most of the time it's not though. But they paid full price for it, so $19.87, and then they paid the padded flat rate for shipping. So I'm glad that that's off to a new home. I'm glad a lot of these older listings, so that Coors glass and the Michael Kors and those sweaters. It's nice. It's nice moving that in old inventory out. You feel a little bit justified for buying it, but then also realize never to buy it again because yes, while everything does sell eventually, I think space and time is more valuable. So yeah, not gonna pick that up again. Well, yeah, I am gonna pick that up again. I have weakness for vintage sweaters, so yeah, I'll probably pick that up again. This is the Irish Skully Cap. It also sold for $20 and the buyer paid for shipping. So these Skully Caps, because they are a little bit wider and circular, I am putting them in a 12.5 by 12.5 by 2 box. It's the foldy box that you can buy on eBay. And I just stick them in there, polybagged and like with the little air poofs in the center, so that way it doesn't get all crushed. And that's how I ship those, just in case you're curious. So I'm glad that's gone. And again, whoever told me it was a Skully Cap, I can't remember if it was Denise or if it was somebody else that said it. I then sold this pair of 90s vintage terry cloth pot holders. And you may be looking at that saying $3.86, that's not a whole lot of money. Well, they're cute and they're vintage and I paid 50 cents for them and I didn't want them to get thrown away. And this was definitely at an estate sale where if they didn't get sold, I did see the dumpster outside, so it was just going to get thrown away. So I bought them and they sold within an hour of listing them. This lovely lady messaged me and was like, I collect these. I don't get paid till the end of the month. If I make you an offer for a penny less so I can just not check out right away, will you be okay with that? And I said, you know what? Sure, why not? Literally the day, as soon as it became November 30th, she paid for these and she's already left me feedback telling me, thank you so much for being patient with me. So she paid for shipping more than the item, and I, you know, what's 50 cents? 6 times my money after fees. And this took less than like 4 minutes to list. So yeah, very happy about that. I then sold this pair of vintage 1959 Meta Gibbons Modern Encyclopedia cooking set of cookbooks. I paid $1 for these. And they sold for $39.87, and the buyer paid $6 for shipping because, you know, it's media rate. It was like, I think 3.5 pounds to send these, but I'm just really happy that they've gone up to a new home. And these also sold within 2 days of listing them. So I'm really happy I picked those up. I definitely always look up and pick up the vintage cookbooks whenever I'm going to these estate sales. This is a small long sleeve quilted flannel. I think I picked this up in Mississippi. If I did, I would have paid like $3.89 for this. It sold for $12 and the buyer paid for the padded flat rate for shipping. I probably won't pick that up again. I thought that this was a larger size when I had originally picked this up, but that's okay. It still sold. And you guys know how much I love selling ties. This Brooks Brothers tie, the Brooks Brothers makers made in the USA from imported silk, are the really, I always pick them up if they're not stained, and sometimes I do pick them up when they're stained because I can get those stains out. And it sold for my full asking price of $14.87, and the buyer also paid for shipping. So I love turning $2 into $15, and I will do that all day long when they're ties. So this same woman bought 3 of my vintage wool skirts. I didn't realize that it was the same woman that bought the skirts until I shipped them. Because I shipped these, I ship during the weekend because I don't like having a lot to do at one time, especially on Monday since I have a regular 9-to-5 job. I don't like, you know, keeping all the weekend sales until Monday to ship because I have a 9-to-5 job that I have to do and I don't want that stress in the morning. So I had already shipped these via UPS on Saturday, and then it was the olive green one, the 2 German skirts. They're here, and she paid $46 and then paid $15 for shipping. These are going all the way to the West Coast, and I live in Virginia. So the shipping was pretty much almost $15. So, I mean, and that's why I shipped at UPS, is because that was the only way I could get it under $15. And then she also purchased later the Pendleton wool skirt, the black swatch one, which is what this color plaid is, the green and blue plaid that you see here, that's called Black Watch. Definitely put that in your title. And it sold for $27.90, and then she paid padded flat rate. So this one has already arrived to her. The UPS one isn't scheduled to arrive until Monday. So, whoops. Whoever, Donna, if you are a viewer, thank you for buying all of those skirts and giving them a new home, because I love vintage wool skirts so much. And it makes me so happy that they're going off to somebody else who really loves them. I would have kept those, but I'm a little bit too thick around the middle right now. So I then sold this pair of A-Bear women's comfy pants. I do not recommend picking up A-Bear. This was a part of that Smithfield estate sale where it was less than $1. I had originally picked these up for myself, not for resale. But unfortunately I'm too bootylicious for these pants, and while they fit my waist perfectly, my butt was pancaked, so I had to let these go. So for less than $1, selling them for almost $8, and then them paying for shipping, perfectly awesome with that. I picked up this Stormy Cromer while I was in Mississippi visiting my lovely ladies Alicia from Murray Life and Victoria from Super Geeked, and also, you know, Jess from Gorgeous came down as well. And I paid less than $4 for this shirt, and it sold for $30, and the buyer paid for the padded flat rate for shipping. Stormy Cromer is an American brand in the Midwest. I think in like Michigan, Wisconsin area type place. But I definitely would recommend picking that up, anything by them, because it's rare to find and it sells for good money. Especially if you get like the outerwear pieces, those are money. I then sold this pair of vintage wicker rattan straw woven trivets for $4, and the buyer paid $4 for shipping. I paid less than $1 for both of them. I then also sold a set of 5 David Baldacci books for $9.35 for all 5 of them, and the buyer paid like $19 for shipping. Again, these are books that weigh 2 pounds, so that's why the shipping's a little bit expensive. So those all went off to a new home, and again, so grateful that that box is gone. And then the last thing I have to share with you is some vintage restaurant wear. So it's a pair of Homer Laughlin bouillon bowls. So I actually was holding on to these myself, and then I decided to let them go off to a new home. So I did enjoy these for about a year before I decided to list them, and they sold within a month after I decided to list them for $12, and the buyer paid $10 for shipping. So I do hope y'all enjoyed this video. I would especially like to thank all 1,606 of my subscribers. There's a bunch of new of you here. So I got to give a little history fact as a thank you, because I do have a degree in history with an emphasis in American archaeology. And speaking of American history, in the year 1606 AD is that the London Company, so ships from the London Company, set sail from England in order to establish a colony in Virginia. Now, those ships didn't actually land in Virginia and in Jamestown until 1607, because, you know, crossing the Atlantic was a lot back then. But I thought that that would be fun information, especially since, you know, I do work in Williamsburg and Jamestown is just a stone's throw from there. So there's your history fact for today as a thank you for subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye! Bye.